Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to season 3 of I Am Shatoria. And you know, this is a place where we talk about love, hope, and a whole lot of faith. And today's show is going to be absolutely dope. I have some of the dopest guys today. And you guys know I'm a real-rounded individual. I like talking about everything, including how as women, we don't know men that well. And we need to learn. So I have two of the coolest guys that I've had the opportunity to be on their show called Let's Rap. Don't worry. You see their information in our feed that you go check them out, and I advise you to check them out. But today we're going to talk about men. It is very important that we understand and learn men. So I got two of the coolest dudes that I can find on the streets here in the DMV area. They call themselves Let's Rap. They are actually here in the DC area, or DMV anyway. So I'm gonna let them introduce themselves, and then we're gonna jump into some conversations today. What's up, guys?
Hey, what's up, Shatoria? First, I want to thank you for allowing us on the show. Always great opportunity, and we thank you as always. I am one of the co-hosts of the Let's Rap podcast, Philosophical. How you doing, everybody? We are a men's podcast. We've been doing it for a short time, trying to teach relationships, dating, and teaching men how to be men, as we're constantly learning every day ourselves.
And I am Jay Echo. What's good, y'all? I am the other host of Let's Rap, and like Phil said, thanks Shatoria for having us on here. We just try to, like he said, help men do better. That's about it.
Yeah.
I would say with the conversations I've seen on YouTube and everything, and being able to be part of you guys' show, it has been pretty dope. Y'all got some, I was like, well, I got to talk about men mentoring men, and who do I want? I'm like, guys, let me talk to the fellas. Who's going to be honest about it? And as a woman, I don't know everything about men. I still learn, even being married. Men is just set up different, just like women. And that is what we're going to talk about, because it's so important that we, even though I am a woman, I have a lot of women on my show. I like to have the men because it's very important to know where the lines are crossing together, where it's one accord and not separate. And that's something that we talked about on you guys' show, is how we're definitely one, even though we're two different genders. With that, a lot of individuals forget men is part of society. So, and that not all men are bad. So one of the questions that I have that has been a big question for, men be like, man, what part of the society are we? Because we get this halfness. Like if you see anything on social media or anything like that, you see men get blamed first. I hate to say it, but they do. It's men should be paying the bills. I see women go in and say, I shouldn't be paying no bills. It's 2021. We're not about to do that. But men are beginning to feel like, what part of society are we? Like, are we even part of society? Because, or are we just a bank? Or, and those type of things. And that's a true statement. So for you being men, how do you fit into society? How important is it? And how important really is it for men to be in society and be treated as such anyway?
I'm going to jump in first. Go
ahead.
I've been thinking about this for a little bit, right? So, like you said, there's part of it that is like, it feels like we're just the bank account at this point. It's like, all right, we need to get out the way and let other people do their thing, and part of that is our fault. We sort of dropped. We were supposed to be the leaders for a while, but part of leadership is helping to uplift people around you and helping them pursue their own goals and ideas and everything like that. And we definitely failed in that regard a lot. But just because it's like throwing out the baby with the bathwater, so to speak. Like there are certain habits you can drop without losing who you are as a person. And I think that's what we're negotiating right now. Like, how do you be the man you are supposed to be, plus the man that people tell you you're supposed to be, plus the man that you think you should be, and still not offend anybody, still not get in on anybody's nerves, still not cross any lines and all of that sort of stuff. And like I said, we haven't had to we haven't had to negotiate that for a while. Men, women, anybody, nobody's really had to negotiate that for a while. It's only recently that people are starting to get the voices that they are getting. Mm-hmm. So in terms of how important it is, I think it's very important that we don't lose sight of the position we are supposed to play. Like, at the end of the day, we are, like, whether it's in a relationship or in society, we are a significant portion of it, no matter how much it has reduced, so to speak. Not really, but you know, how much our role is shifting, we still have parts to play. Like, there are still going to be sons being born who need to be taught. There's still going to be people who people who gravitate towards the traditional masculine gender role, or whatever the case may be, and there need to be positive examples of how that can look without all of the ugly that is also associated with it. And you know, that's sort of my initial thoughts on it, but we can jump in a little deeper as we go
along. I just want to build upon that on a kind of a bad analogy, but an important one. A lot of times, you know, men and women, you know, based on society, we check into something called the ER, you know what I mean, emergency room. But I came up with this analogy a couple seconds ago that a lot of men check into what I call an IC, identity crisis, right? So I think a lot of men, including myself, you know, and I want to add some caveats to that. I don't want people to think me and I'm just this perfect man. No. In fact, you know, I can recall thousands of conversations me and Jay have had just off of the thing, just being a man. The pressures of the man, it's so much pressure internally that sometimes you could be with the right woman, you could be with the wrong woman, you could have the wrong friends in your life, but there's so much pressure to do better for yourself. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of men look at outward appearances, social media, TV, movies, books, looking at your phone, Facebook, all these things, and seeing the man that's more successful than him, that may be happy with the family, that may have things he doesn't have accomplished in his life right now. You know what I mean? That's the identity crisis as far as what a lot of men go through. How can I get to that plane without having to crash in between? You know what I mean? Like, so for me being happy as I've ever been in my life, I'm still trying to figure out how can I be even more happier, not only by myself, but with my partner. You know what I mean? There's so much pressure, you know what I mean, being a man, and that comes along with succeeding, not wanting to fail, you know what I mean, having a leg up on the next guy. You know what I mean? I feel like we as men is so much of a competition against ourselves, especially in the Black community. You know what I mean? We hate on each other so much. We compete with each other so much that we're killing each other over things that we really should be collaborating with. We really should be collaborating with each other. It shouldn't be hard to pick up the phone and say, hey, brother, man, you know, I need your help. You know, I've been seeing a lot of good things on Facebook lately. Very few things on Facebook lately. I'm seeing as far as the phrase to say, hey, call a brother and tell him you love him. You never know who may need to hear that. You know what I'm saying? Because the identity crisis is real within men. And a lot come to that understanding and realize it to be able to call somebody. It's all about vulnerability. You know what I mean? A lot of us men want to be women as far as just the physical and not the mental. You know what I mean? We're still afraid to be able to talk to men and tell a man how we truly feel and what's going on in our life. Because a lot of men that you call in that may be there for you, that's your brothers, have been through it. And you don't know until you tell somebody. So that's my little story as far as, you know, the identity crisis. It's real out here. And it's no different from having mental health.
No, and that's true. So let's combine those two then. Let's go back to this. A lot of men are not going to do that because, let's be honest, in reality, that is not how men are raised. You're not raised to have feelings. So unfortunately, they don't know how to identify this because honestly, they're just like little boys. And that goes into my question of the transition from a boy to a man. And unfortunately, we have a lot of grown men that are actually still little boys. And that goes for women too. But with men, when you are taught, you don't cry, you don't show sensitivity, you don't show that, or you man up type of situation, then as a woman, when I see a man that, and I guess my eyes are a little different because I know better compared to some women, because I hate to hear the concept when a man expresses feelings that he is weak. That bothers me because then we're making them go back in their shell. We tell them, well, you need to be more vulnerable, but then they go back in their shell when we say they're weak. And we're seeing a lot of this in our society. Here's the reason why the transition from a boy to a man is not shifting right, because they are taught you don't do that. And unfortunately, as women, we're taught he's supposed to be a man. And the problem that I have is he's supposed to be a man, you're supposed to be a man. They don't merge, they don't mix. Because the concept to a woman, what a man is not what's being taught like it was back in the day. And there's definitely a disconnect there's a disconnect because society doesn't equals reality. Let's be honest. Society shows that, and I kid you not, you see a lot on Facebook. And so social media is definitely the damn if you do, damn if you don't section. It really is. Because you have men that's out there like, hey, I have goals and dreams just like you do. But to a woman, you got goals and dreams. You need to be figuring it out while you still got a job and paying all these bills. And we're not. We're going to meet my goals. We're going to meet yours later. So, I mean, it's the reality check of, I do see a lot of that. And you really see a lot of this generation in the complexity of, yeah, no, I don't need you for nothing. I can go to the clinic, get pregnant, raise them on my own. And we're still a lot of dysfunctional. So let's talk about the transition from a boy to a man. You guys, men as men, growing up and then becoming a man. And then some men are still boys because of the mentality that they have, not their age, but just the mentality, and they don't know how to get out of it. How do we, I don't want to say fix, but how do we start to turn that wheel, especially with the generation we got today?
I think I will start here. I was actually thinking about this morning. A lot of men rely on their partners to define them as being a man. You know what I mean? They want to rely on their partner to tell them how to operate as a man, instead of like going back and saying, you know what, realizing the point of what are the transitions have I made? A lot of times, a lot of us men, we don't understand and appreciate a lot of the accomplishments from where we are yesterday to the time where we are today, right? A lot of times that defines us as a man. That transition, as far as it balances growth, it brings growth. So a lot of times we get with people, or we put people in our life that tears us down, you know, that bring us down.
With that though,
okay,
my question to that is, how do they know it's a good thing when you don't see it or taught it as young men?
And I think that's the aspect of it that I sort of was gonna speak to, in that, like, we get so many conflicting messages about what is manhood and what's the right way to do manhood, that it's just like, yo, I don't, like, for instance, we were speaking a little bit earlier about what our position is in the world right now. And it's like, all right, women are saying to us, oh, I got it on my own. I don't really need you. I can raise a child on my own. All of that sort of stuff. But then on top of that, it's like, oh, I still expect you, if I do let you in my life, even though I can do it on my own, I expect you to be my bank account. I expect you to be emotionally available. I expect you, excuse me, I expect you to provide a house. I expect you to do all that stuff. And it's like, oh, wait a minute. About 5 seconds ago, you were telling me about how you didn't need me. Now, all of a sudden, I have to provide all this stuff. I just got enough financial wherewithal to be able to do it on my own. Now I'm supposed to do it for you too. And you're telling me you don't want to contribute to it as well. So you have that part of it. Then you have the emotional part of it, where it's like, all right, you want me to be emotionally stable and everything like that. But in the moments when I do the healthy thing and come to you and say, hey, I need help with something, I need to handle it on my own, because that's how men do it, right? Men don't say anything, men, and
But that goes back to my point to where a man is depending on his partner to handle those emotional, distress. You know what I mean? And I will say this, I feel like a lot of people, I think now relationships, a man's responsibility is to provide. And we've said, but I think now, not only a man is supposed to provide, I think men are wanting something in return, and women are saying, I'm not dealing with that. I'm not dealing with that. I'm not dealing with that emotional
and I think
issue.
I think part of that is women are aware how much work it takes to resolve some of those emotional issues. We are,
but a man is required to deal with a woman's emotions.
True, that's fair. Fair,
and that's also work. You know what I
mean?
Because
work, but
and if a man's not willing to deal with a woman's emotional stress, he's not a good man. He can't. You know what I mean? But if a woman is taught, some women are taught not to deal with the man's emotional stress. I guess men have been described and expressed as machines. Not men. You know what I mean? Just walking around and
but that's true, but we've also done it to ourselves a little bit.
Correct. Yeah. Because we flash with money, we flash with materials, we've given the expectation. Go ahead.
Not only that, but we also, like we were talking about earlier, we teach each other, you don't show weakness, you don't let people know you're struggling with stuff. And so from the outside looking in, it's like, oh, he's good. Like, so when the cracks do start to show, it, like, for lack of a better term, it shakes up the worldview. It's like, he was supposed to be good. He's supposed to not have any issues. He's supposed to be the rock that I stand on. So if he's shaky, then what does that mean for this? And they're like, nope, I'm out. And
that goes back to this, and that was some of my question of the importance of learning about women. Because here's the thing, as I agree with you guys also know I also have my own caveat as well. The issues that I have is, as a woman, and I'm only speaking for me, I'm supposed to be a safe haven for my husband. They have that picture of that man with the world on his back, and as women, we do not realize how deep rooted that is. Men don't speak up a lot because they don't feel comfortable to speak up a lot. They don't feel comfortable to tell how they feel, because a lot of men are in relationships to where if they tell how they feel, she's going to belittle it. But then if you go back into the homes that the man was in, and the reason why a lot of them stay in those relationships, because if you go back into the homes that they grew up in, that is how they was raised. And there is literally a cartoon out there, not a cartoon, but like a little comic that's been surrounded on Facebook for years that I've seen, and it bothers me. You literally have it in there to where a woman is belittling this man, and this child is watching it happen. She grows up and she belittles her man as well. You won't see your kids if you don't do this for me. Sad part about this is what society is. We literally have this going on. But men say, well, hey, babe, I'm tired. Today was a really bad day at work. Okay, and I had a bad day at work. I had the kids. Like, there is no ground to meet him on. So my question is this: when do they start to feel comfortable, not just at home, but in their relationship? When they walk through those doors, they should be able to walk in peace. And one of the things that Frank Ski, I heard on his radio show, and it broke my heart, the conversation came up was men who really have an issue in their relationships to where they're not comfortable, to where they even sit in their car before they walk in the house, because when they walk in the house, there's no peace. Do you not know how many men actually called in and was like, no kidding, I won't even leave work yet. Like, I take detours home, because if I have a bad day, I can't vent at the house. That's the problem for me. And
I've been there.
And as women, I know, okay, here's the thing. We got nagging on different levels. However, though, you are supposed to be his peace. And my thing about it is he should be able to come and tell. Now, I will agree with Jay, what you were saying, as far as if they don't pay the bills, and this is how I feel like a man can only do so much.
Yeah.
If he gets a job, you know what? I'm congratulating you because you got a job. Because let's be honest, some people don't want to work. That's including women. Some don't want to work. But he has a job and he's trying. And then I get a pet peeve when women say, well, men shouldn't be at home daddy. Well, look at here. So what is it you want? You don't want to pay for daycare. You really want to work. And he's like, okay, well, if you don't want to pay, something got to give. Like, I've watched men actually stay home with the kids. Personally, I don't see anything wrong with it, because to me, it ain't my household. I don't see anything wrong with it. If it's a balance for you, who cares? But unfortunately, society says you as men, you're not supposed to be an at-home dad. You as men is not supposed to cook. You as men is not supposed to clean. You should know how to change a tire and all these other things. So what is the importance of men really understanding women? If you ain't got an answer, trust me, I understand.
So I think it's important in that by understanding, and this isn't just women, by understanding your partner, period. And that's part of the reason why I use the word partner when I talk about relationships. It's because this is somebody who's supposed to be in it with you. Like for a while it was, we ride together, we die together. That's sort of like, it's like, this is the person who is here with you through all the blood and the mud and the tears and all of that sort of stuff. But if people are going to get on your nerves sometimes too, like that's real. We all know that. But at the end of the day, if you know that 9 times out of 10, you would rather it be that person who gets on your nerves than somebody else, then cool, you're in a good place. But that whole thing of like, I won't even go home because I'm tired of, like, I just can't deal with the other person, or I turn my phone off because I can't get another call saying that X has gone wrong or something like that. It's like, that's real. Like, part of the reason why, like, I will literally get home from work sometimes, and I don't have a partner right now, so this isn't a thing for me, but I'll get home from work sometimes and I'll just sit and stare at my ceiling because I just need to let some stuff go. And when you're in a relationship, you can't do that. When you're in a relationship, the other person needs something, wants something, is looking for, and if you have kids don't care if you need to sit and stare at a wall for a little bit. Kids want their fruit snacks and they want their SpongeBob, and that's it. Like, there's no turning that off. So I think the thing about understanding your woman or your partner or whatever the case may be is, you, by learning what her breaking point is and by learning her points, period, then you can know how you complement each other and how you can take the burden off of each other without necessarily filling the same roles and leaving gaps, so to speak. Because if I know that, oh, my partner is like, she's got the cooking, cool, then I know, all right, there are certain things in the household that I can specifically do, whether it's like, okay, she's got the cooking, I'll take care of the cleaning this weekend. Cool, bet. Or she had a rough day at work today, my rough day was yesterday, I'm gonna let her vent and I'll vent like I vented yesterday, we're good, or whatever the case may be. It's like, and that's where we preach this all the time, that's where the compromise comes in. It's like, whether it's bills, whether it's emotional weight, whether it's physical, like health and wellness, whatever the case may be, if you're learning the other person, then you know, like, okay, this is where I can pick up, or this is where I can relieve some of her stress, as opposed to, this is where you can pick up and this is where you can relieve some of my stress.
Right.
But one key component of that is being willing to tell the other person, this is where my stress is. This is my breaking point. Can you help me? Mm-hmm. And if you're not willing to let them know that, then they're not going to know where to pick up.
I definitely agree with you on all of that. And that's why, it's important, just like you said, not just to learn a woman, but your partner. And you also understand you cannot, just like you guys were saying earlier, you can't compare the things you see online. One of the things that I did learn is that men have desires and goals just like women. They want to do things just like women. It's no different. The only difference is how the support system is. It's very different. That's another subject, but it's very different. Being a man in today's society alone, especially a Black man, it's already not easy. You guys are dealing with being demeaned, not just within community, but within our own culture itself. Let's be honest. As a mom and a woman, I take things into consideration when I think about things like R. Kelly, who's is on trial and going through that. And you got the Bill Cosby situation. And as men, dealing with the thought process of being men, you guys are all put into the same category. Even with the police, you guys are put in the same category. Culturally, you're put in the same category. So it's almost like, yeah, sure, you two are two different people, but to the world, you're the same at the end of the day. Like, well, if Jay messed up on this, Phil's gonna do the same thing. There's no separation. One of the questions is, as men, and Phil, you said it earlier, you said, I'm still learning. What is the one thing, if y'all can nitpick the one thing that you are actually still learning as grown men, because you got a grown men. So you're still learning. What is that you're still learning?
I will answer that question, but I wanted to add some things Jay said. Being married, I still come home and, I'll sit in the car and I'll just think, you know what I mean? Not because that, I can't talk to my wife or she's not understanding. I have the best wife in the world, but I think there's a difference between, and I just want to add, there's a difference between a man can't talk to their woman and a man not wanting to put his problems on a woman, his emotional problems, his feelings. Not a lot of men want to talk about that. And I feel like that needs to be kind of shared, as far as like, I'm still learning to be vulnerable with my wife. I'm still learning, and that includes me talking to her. That includes me sharing with her. That includes me just letting down my, like, all right, a lot of men have this here today, gone tomorrow mentality. You know what I mean? She's here for something, but she'll be gone as soon as she's got it. You know what I mean? The agenda based, the just like to block out some forms of things that social media is telling the way I should treat my partner. You got to pay all the bills. You gotta like we spoke about it on our show, have sex with her every day. If you don't, she's gone. You know what I mean? You got to pay her bills, because if not, somebody else will. You know what I mean? You gotta be able to just be this person, almost like you not being yourself, to get to a certain piece that, I'm learning that I already have. You know what I mean? Yeah. Why push more? Why push that button even more on something or someone when you already have it? And I think the society has taught us that you have to do certain things to achieve that peace. Mm-hmm. When a lot of times your partner will understand who you are and give you peace. And I struggle with that. And that's where I go back to the identity crisis for me. And my partner knows this. And she's like, hey, whatever you're going through, she's going through it. She's taught me that women go through it. Yeah. Because as much as I'm like, how do I survive this partnership, this marriage she's thinking the same thing. You know what I mean? And that's the part where it's like, as a man, it's so much pressure and so much weight on that. If I don't succeed, we both fail. But when she's really telling me, like, if we don't succeed, we both fail.
That's why she's my girl.
Yeah. And that's the part, and that's the part where our podcast has evolved to where, and me and Jay have had these conversations millions of times, the pressures of being a man, you know what I mean? The pressures of not understanding the type of person or partner you're dealing with. Simple as that, you know what I mean? And I want to go back. I think in a relationship, dating, friendship, you have to be very careful and understand your words hurt more than action sometimes. Your words hurt, because if that man is vulnerable with you and that woman is vulnerable with you, you react and say something that can totally damage whatever vulnerability you have left with that person. And I feel like trust, it takes a lot of trust for me and also a woman to come out and express themselves. You know what I mean? It takes a lot of trust. And if you don't have that trust with your partner,
oh, you ain't got nothing there.
You don't have anything. You know what I mean? So in my opinion, I'm learning every day because when I go back to the identity crisis, I feel like it takes away from who is philosophical. Who am I? You know what I mean? It makes you reevaluate yourself to the fact that I've got all this happiness, all this peace in the world, but society is telling me in order to get this, I have to act like this. Why? So the part where it's like, you got to continually tell yourself, I'm good. You know?
I would say the biggest thing that you said that you're learning is the vulnerability, and that's real.
Yeah.
And that's you being open.
Yeah.
And that's you being honest, that you are still working on being vulnerable. And it's not that she didn't make it that way. It's just the way you know life. So you're trying to undo the things that was taught that wasn't right.
I know life from what I've been through, from how my parents interacted, how my father interacted, how my mother interacted.
So now you're trying to change that narrative.
I'm trying to change that narrative, and I'm telling you, and I feel like a lot of it is generational curses based off of the relationships I've been in previously before I got married. It destroyed me. And if men, and I say this to our men all the time, if you don't wake up quick, it can destroy you, who you are, and it can kill you.
Yeah. And adding to what he said, the vulnerability is a big thing that I'm learning as well. But and I guess it sort of falls into the same category, but I'm learning how much and again, I'm single, so I'm sort of in a different place with it than philosophical is, but I'm learning how much I need people, I guess I should say.
Me too.
Because for me, a big thing is, because we were talking earlier about achieving success, and one of the big things about achieving success that I've had to re-examine and reevaluate and everything like that is achieving success on my own, right? Like a lot of men have this idea, and it gets pushed to us pretty regularly, like, oh, you got to get it out the mud, you got to do it by yourself, you got to drag yourself up by your bootstraps, which I don't know if you've actually tried it in real life, but it's pretty impossible, right? So like for a long time, for me specifically, it has been, I know I want to achieve these things, I know I want to achieve in these ways, but I have to achieve on my own, or it doesn't mean as much for whatever reason. Meanwhile, at the end of the day, as long as you win the game, you win the game, right? It doesn't matter how you got there, as long as you didn't cheat or, destroy anybody along the way. Like, as long as you win the game, you won. That's what it is. And letting go of, like you said, the generational curses, the noise that, like, oh, you have to build it ground up on your own, brick by brick, with your bare hands, as opposed to there are people who have gone before you who have been through these same things. Rely on them and rely on their knowledge, like they're teaching you things. And I think, and this goes back to what you were talking about being Black men, I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that I'm a first generation American citizen in my family, basically, right? So my parents are African, Ghanaian specifically. And a lot of stuff when I go back home, what I see is a lot of people, at least in my family, it's like you are relying on your family throughout your entire life to build to a level of success, right? Like I have aunts and uncles, cousins, and even now nieces and nephews who it's like, oh yeah, you're going to be successful not because of any one single thing that you do, but because we lift you up to that place, you know, the village that raised you, basically. And for a long time, whether it was because of, you know, that whole macho mentality or whatever it was, it's like, oh no, you don't need the village. In fact, you could burn the village down and you can still achieve success. And it's just like, no, that's not what it is. Like I've isolated myself in so many instances just because I think I need to do it on my own, as opposed to as opposed to there are people who are not only able to help you, but are willing to help you if you just ask, or if you let them know, and if you let them in. And it's one of those things that I understand logically, but I haven't internalized. And that's one area where I'm like, at some point you need to let go of all of this BS and just let people help you, which is real hard for me. And it's come back to bite me in several ways throughout my life, whether it's in relationships or in finances or whatever the case may be.
You still learning how to reach out to your village.
Yep.
Because like you said, I can do this. I got it. I don't need your help, because you don't want, and a lot of the time is you want to be able to feel like you can stand on your own 2 feet and not really depend unless I really need you. I don't want to be handicapped. And then let's be honest, we're in a society to where it's, I helped you. I helped you get there. I helped you do this. I helped you do that. So it makes a wall go up to be like, because what you're not going to do is use me as a trophy case and come back and say, I did it. And I did it. When it's like, whoa, yes, you supported me, but I did it. I did this work. I'm not saying I didn't do it without you, but I did. We don't need a, I told you so, or but I was here for you. It's one of those learning how to be humble when you're supposed to be humble. Some of us are still learning that.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah.
So one of my questions to you guys, one of my last questions. Did you have something, Phil?
Oh, no. You said it. You said it on the.
Yeah. So one of my last questions to you guys is, as we're still learning each other's genders and everything else. As men, you guys are out here already mentoring other men. Again, you do it through your own podcast and your conversations that you have with people, and you always are staying engaged. What is the one thing you guys want them to know about you collectively as a group, and then you guys individually?
As a group,
I will as a group.
As a group, you guys do very well. I want my listeners and my viewers to understand you guys work very well together. I like how Phil is very look, but then Jay be like, whoa. Whoa. I agree with you. However, I have a caveat to go with that. So I love y'all chemistry. It cracks me up though.
I guess I'll start. I will say this. Jay is, as far as when he says, he wish he has people in his life, somebody to call, somebody to talk to, somebody to be. That's usually me. I'm constantly reaching out to Jay, like, hey, Jay, everything good? Everything good? But ever since we've done this podcast, I will say he's been the one calling me like, hey, good? You good? You good? Hey, what time is this podcast? I'm ready to go. And I'm like, oh man. I will say, man, me and Jay have been friends for a very long time. And the way we talk on our podcast is the way we talk on the phone. We're always debating, we're always arguing, we're always having, we get mad at each other, but I can't remember one time me and Jay have cursed at each other or disrespected each other. It's always been this brotherly love. It's always been like this like, yo, Phil, you're wrong, or like, yo, Jay, you're wrong. Hey, let's go listen to some music or something. It's always been like this. It's always been like, we have we just disagree. We just love to disagree with each other.
We agree to disagree all the time.
Yeah, we agree to disagree a lot.
That's good friendship, though. You not have good friendship if you didn't agree to disagree, because then you're totally two different people.
Yeah, and I think what really develops our friendship is that there are times where he'll call me and he'll ask me a question, and he'll be like, I didn't think about that. And I'll call him and be like, Jay, I'm going through this, and have you tried this? And I'll be like, nah, I didn't think of that. And then we'll be like, hey, let's talk about it on the podcast. And I'll never forget, we like 4 hours talking about like anime and different stuff. And my wife was like, why don't you guys just do this on the podcast? And I was just like, okay. I was like, all right, well, let's do it. And that's kind of how the podcast came about. And it's really developed our friendship, and really it's really ignited Jay to a point where he's starting to call more and be open more and talk more. And I'm able to express myself. And I know people always make jokes to where like Jay is very introspective and people think I'm the nutcase. He's got groupies. And I'm just, it's very true though. It's not, so, that's kind of as a group, what we are. As me as a person, I'm constantly learning. You know what I mean? I'm constantly, I wake up sometimes, and I know some men can probably relate, and some women can probably relate, and probably think like, man, what am I doing here? You know what I mean? How did I get to this point? How do I stay in this point? What do I got to do? How much money I got to spend? What more pressure is coming today? What's going on at work? If I lose my job tomorrow, how can I provide? You know what I mean? Different things. It's no longer like, the situations of like, I'm not by myself anymore.
Right.
And I feel like being married and being in a relationship has taught me I'm not in this by myself. You know what I mean? So a lot of times when I'm feeling, alone and in a space, I have to think about like, I'm not here about myself. You know what I mean? So I will say, as far as the men that are feeling like, you're not getting anywhere, you're feeling like, the weight is against the world against you, the world is against you right now. You're feeling like no one can reach out to you. There's no help. I will say this, that you're not alone, to the fact that what you're going through is similar to what I'm going through. The only difference is that one, I'm able to speak on it on a platform, on a podcast, and two, being able to have friends around me to be able to talk about it. Yeah. So if you ever feel like you're alone, you don't know what to do, you don't have anybody to talk to, you feel like you're at a point of confusion, don't hesitate to reach out to us. We love to hear your comments, your feedback, your story. If you ever want to get on the show with us, that's cool. Send us an email, send us a message. I'm always listening. I'm always answering DMs. There are men that have been in my DMs that have said, man, I loved your comment. I loved you guys' story. This is what I'm through. And, it's like the first thing I tell them is that, dude, I get it. You know what I mean? I get it. You're not alone.
And I think that's part of the individual side of it as well. It's like recognizing that you aren't alone in these struggles helps you let go of a lot of them. Like, because like I said, the fact that I'm learning how much I need people, it's like for a long time, I was like, oh, I'm the only one who struggles like this and nobody cares about my struggles. So let me just keep it to myself, right? As opposed to like talking to Phil, hearing that other people are going through the same stuff. And it's like, oh, okay, so people do care about my struggles. It's because they are struggling in the same ways. It's just, I have convinced myself, and the world has convinced me, especially as a person of color and a man, that like, oh, your struggles are your own and you shouldn't be sharing them with folks. It's like, nah, people go through the same thing. People struggle the same way. And if nothing else, just feeling less alone in the world will help you like start reaching places to grow, because now you're not feeling like whatever you get is so scarce, or whatever you need is independent or specific to you. It's like, no, there are people all over the place who need these things,
right?
And if there are people all over who need these things, then there must be resources somewhere. There must be answers somewhere. So then it encourages you to go out and look, as opposed to stay internal, stay isolated and try and figure it out on your own. Because there are still moments where I feel isolated or I feel alone. Like, I'm not going to pretend I'm all of a sudden, a guru or anybody's life coach or anything like that. But just recognizing that people are willing to hear me in certain ways, not all the time, because some people just don't listen, but there are people who are willing to hear you if you are willing to speak.
Yep.
And in being willing to speak, like part of the reason why I talk to Phil, like I've tried to reach out to Phil now more than I have, or I try to reach out to other people now. And like the reaching out, it's not isolated to Phil. Like, there are friends who I've had for years who are just like, yo, I didn't know this about you. And it's like, yeah, because I never decided to share it. Or the fact that, oh, these are my goals and dreams. And it's like, yo, I never realized that this was that important to you. And it's like, yeah, but you wouldn't know if I never said anything, right? And closed mouths don't get fed. So on the individual side, it's just being more open to letting people see you're ugly, right? Letting people see your faults and your flaws. Like, I'm introspective, yes, but that also means that I tend to ramble. I tend to wander off topic. I have so many things going on in my head at one given time that it can be hard for me to focus on a given task and I know that about myself now, because I'm talking to other people and they can point out to me like, you were supposed to be talking about X. Now all of a sudden we're talking about F, and I have no idea how we got here. And it's like, okay, that comes from being willing to open myself up, being willing to, like I said, reach out. And in reaching out, there are certain things I can't get by talking to friends, true, but the amount of enrichment, the amount of fulfillment that comes with just being willing to look at your homie, look at your friend, look at your man and be like, yo, this is what I'm going through. Have you been through the same thing? Or how are you doing, man? You seem like you're going through something. Yeah. And the genuine joy that comes from, I was able to help my friend through something, as opposed to, watching from a distance and being like, that man's struggling, but I'm good though, and rolling out. Like, it's exponentially more fulfilling to be that first guy as opposed to the second one.
Yeah.
I will say that I appreciate you both being, the magic word today is vulnerable. Yeah. Because I have done 2 shows with you guys so far, and I've been able to see the sides that you guys were talking about. So I'm appreciative that the fact that you guys have always felt comfortable with conversating with me and making me part of your circle and your family, which I love the most. Phil, you're my wife, so your wife, that's your girl.
Yeah.
So I like contradicting Jay, and Jay like contradicting me. So we in this together. We got this together. But no, I really appreciate you guys coming on today. And being honest and speaking truth. And I pray as men are listening that they are getting that same thing and they feel that openness to be like, oh man, I know how that man feels because I be feeling that way. And like how, Jay, you say you just go home and just look at the ceiling. Let me tell you guys something. I use my drive from work to home for my peace time. Because when I get home, it's a wrap. Because once I get the kid, it's mommy everythingness. And it's like, oh, Jesus. And my husband be like, you don't want to talk when you get off work on your drive home. Nope, that is my music time. That is my music. That's my depression. That is, and there's nothing wrong with my household is this. When you leave work and you're about to step into something else, it's like, I just need a little bit of time just to breathe, just to woosah. So, and my husband, he loves streaming sports and listening to stuff. So, we kind of get the same way. So, no, I definitely thank you guys for coming.
Thank you.
For all my listeners and my viewers, if you go look at our chat box, description box, you'll see all of their information. I advise you to please check them out on YouTube. They have their own, they do audio and video also. So check them out, listen to their information. Trust me, they got more stuff coming out. And they also do a lot of live on IG. So keep a lookout on that too. They be on IG acting up sometimes. And I'd be like, wait a minute, I wasn't there for that. Let me. And you guys to my little thing on my thing on IG that lets me know you live because I be missing stuff and I be like, whoa.
If it all works out, we'll have you on pretty soon. So.
Oh, absolutely. We'll be back on to hang out with the brothers again. I see you guys.
Definitely.
I definitely thank you guys on Real Talk, but we
thank you.
Giving out information, and I hope everyone who's listening and viewing that you take this information to heart because it's real and it's meant being vulnerable. So we already know my place is a safe space where we do that at. So we definitely gonna say thank you to all my listeners and viewers and all my wonderful people. Thank you so much as joining us again on today of I Am Shatoria. You already know to check me out on all my Instagrams. We are on TikTok and that is growing dramatically. So I thank you guys. We're getting our Motivation Mondays and whatever else happened to today. Y'all already know how I do. Also check out the IamShatoria.com website. As you know, we got our big event coming up. 2022 is going to be really dope in San Antonio. So get your seat, get your tickets. We have a VIP section, which I will be chit-chatting with our main speaker here really soon. And you already know my website, new merch and everything, and just conversation. As always, we walk in love. You guys know I do not say goodbye. I always say see you later. But we always walk in love, live fearlessly, and we always have a whole lot of faith. All right, check you guys later and talk to you again.